She kept me updated with him and said he wasn't supposed to make it past probably a week. So they thought he wasn't going to make it and survive. But then a couple weeks later, I texted her and checked in, and she said he made it and he's super strong and adapting really well. In that moment, he just looked exactly like he did before the accident. He was happy and wanted to play again. And it just gave me so much hope that, he was going to be happy again and he was going to adjust. Seeing that he only has one leg and is still the happiest dog ever, it just gives me a more optimistic look on life, honestly.
Welcome back to Tales of Love. I'm AJ.
And I'm Emily. We hope you're all doing well and are excited for today's episode. Today's episode shines the spotlight on a little guy who is taking over social media with his strong will to make sure he never misses a beat.
That's right. We will be learning about how amazing this little guy is and how amazing his family is who shows up for him every single day and makes sure he has the best life he could possibly have. Today, we will be talking about Henry, also known as Henry the Mini Dachshund. We had the absolute honor of chatting with Jenna, the wonderful human who made Henry part of her family.
As we talked to Jenna, we quickly could tell how much Henry means to their family and how much effort and time it takes to care for a dog who has mobility challenges. So grab your pet and get comfortable, and let's jump into today's episode. We started off by asking Jenna to share with us who Henry is and when his story actually got started on social media.
Yeah, so Henry was born in 2021 with a malformation in his front leg. So he was only born with half of his front leg. And so actually his social media story started pretty early. I think when he was like 3 months old or so, I made him a TikTok and just started posting about it, as him growing up, as him as a baby, and as he learned to adapt with 3 legs. And people became obsessed with his little nub, and he gained a lot of supporters throughout the years. And recently he gained a lot with his accident. So we've been on social media for a while, but recently, since his accident and only having, one functioning leg, a lot of people have been drawn to his story. But yeah, he's been on social media for since he was born, basically, and since he's been in our family.
It's so incredible how people just immediately fell in love with his little nub right from the start. But man, hearing that he recently had an accident that left him with only one functioning leg, it makes you realize how much this little guy has had to adapt to.
He really is a fighter, and you can tell the internet sensed that strength early on. But looking back to before social media, when he was just a tiny puppy, we were curious about how he found his way to them. We asked Jenna if Henry was a planned addition to the family, or was he more of a meant to be surprise?
So originally, no, we weren't even thinking about getting a dog, honestly, but I am just a dog lover and always, looking on the internet at dogs up for adoption, dogs on my Facebook pages and stuff. And I came across this breeder that posted about they had a litter and one was disabled. And so I messaged her about it. And I was like, oh, is this like a scam or something? Or is this dog real? And she kept me updated with him and said he wasn't supposed to make it past probably a week. So they thought he wasn't going to make it and survive. But then a couple weeks later, I texted her and checked in, and she said he made it and he's super strong and adapting really well, and that he will probably be given away for $100 because of his disability. So that is actually how we came about Henry, because I never even had small dogs growing up. So I always just thought small dogs were yappy and annoying. But once I heard about his story and how he was thriving and surviving even with his little malformation, became super attached and decided to adopt him.
Thriving and surviving is the perfect way to put it. To think a breeder didn't expect him to make it past a week, and here he is, years later, proving everyone wrong.
It really is amazing to think about how he ended up finding such an amazing family. It's like he knew he just had to hold on until Jenna found him. And that first encounter had to be really special when they finally met Henry for the first time. So we wanted to know the exact thoughts running through her head during that moment?
Well, we immediately fell in love. We went to the breeder's house actually, and I think he was 6 weeks old or so, or maybe like 5. He was super tiny, like probably smaller than my hand. And so she let us like hold him and watch him how he moved around because he honestly couldn't really move around that well. And that was kind of like drew me into him even more, like just seeing him try so hard to move as such a tiny puppy. And he just like laid on my chest and I was like, oh my gosh, we have to have him. I was immediately just in love with him and seeing him from when we saw him then and then when we picked him up, he was so different looking and even now he's so different looking, but I mean, we just were in love with him right when we met him and knew we had to have him in our family.
Smaller than your hand. Oh my goodness. You couldn't walk away from that if you tried. And I also want to point out how strong Henry really was from the beginning. Because puppies aren't born knowing how to walk, they learn over time. So the fact that he still had that fight in him to learn how to navigate with only 3 legs and move around is just incredible to think about.
Oh, 100%. Once a dog lays on your chest like that, it's game over. You're officially a dog parent. And I too was thinking that. The strength and motivation he had to just be a dog is nothing short of amazing. But taking on a dog with physical challenges is a huge commitment that shifts over time. So we asked Jenna what it truly means to her to have Henry in her life today.
It definitely means a lot, and it's probably a lot different from when we first got him because when we first got him, it was just like we have a puppy and it's fun and you obviously take on a lot of responsibility, but with Henry being disabled and paralyzed now, it gives me a lot of purpose and I'm learning a ton. I never knew that dogs could wear diapers like babies and how dogs work and their bodies. I've learned so much. I feel like that vet specialists and animal specialists know. So that has put a lot into perspective. Just having a constant companion, he gives me a purpose every day and to wake up, I know I have to go and feed him and, do his potty routine and just give me a purpose that I feel like if I didn't have him, that would be a very empty spot in my life. And seeing that he only has 1 leg and is still the happiest dog ever, it just gives me a more optimistic look on life, honestly. So I would say that's what it means to have him in my life.
Yeah, we can definitely agree with dogs giving you purpose. When we first got our second dog, it was during COVID. And I mean, it was a scary time. Everyone was freaking out, right?
Yeah.
And I remember I'm like, I don't want to leave the house, but I know I have to wake up, go to work to get paid to feed my dogs and my
Right.
family. So I'm like right there, just having a dog that, gave me purpose to keep going and, fighting that fear.
Yeah, 100%. And I like before we had Henry, I never had to wake up early. So like on the weekends, I would always just sleep in so long and just lay in bed. And now I feel like I'm more productive because I have to get up and do that. So yeah, it's definitely helpful for me.
I'm sure all of us with pets completely understand what Jenna is saying about them giving us purpose in life because they really do. I mean, our whole world is based around our dogs. And props to Jenna for truly taking the time to learn about Henry's needs and making sure that he has the best life possible.
Absolutely. The way Jenna and her wife cares for Henry is truly inspiring. Also, what is really relatable when it comes to having a pet in your life, especially I would say a dog, is that there is no more sleeping in. I mean, your dogs are at your bed waiting for breakfast at like 6 a.m. So, yeah, sleeping in is not an option, but you wouldn't trade it for nothing.
Nope. It's rewarding to be able to get up and have your dog wanting to spend time with you, or even if they're watching for their food bowl. Now, Henry is so lucky to have Jenna, but like we always say on the show, it definitely goes both ways. We asked Jenna how caring for Henry has changed her personally.
It has definitely made me more of a positive person, I think. Even just before his accident when he was a three-legged dog, he was so happy and adjusted so well to life. And it's given me a lot of insight of what it's like to take care of something slash take care of someone full time. And it was a big adjustment having to take care of him, but also just taught me to always keep moving forward. And what used to be so difficult and frustrating for taking care of him at the beginning after his accident is now just a daily part of our routine that we're so used to. So we always just remind ourselves that he's happy and try to give him the best life we can. But every day is just, he gives us more purpose and we get used to it every day.
Always keep moving forward. That is such a beautiful lesson to learn from a dog. It's true. Animals don't spend time feeling sorry for themselves. They just figure out how to navigate the world as it is.
We can definitely learn a lot from animals. Now, online, we see all the cute, positive moments, but there are real learning curves behind the scenes. We asked Jenna what the hardest thing is that no one prepares you for when caring for a dog with mobility challenges.
Yeah, so I definitely say there's a lot of hard things. One of the hardest things I would say is to have someone like a specific dog sitter to watch him and take care of him because before we had a pretty long list of friends and family that could watch him. And, since his accident, his potty routine and his, whole life basically is very different. So having to find someone and teach them how to take care of him and, do his potty routine is a little bit difficult because it's a lot to ask for people. But thankfully, we have amazing friends and family who were willing to learn and help us when we're out of town. But honestly, I would say that's like the most frustrating thing, but everything else, it just took a lot of time to get used to. Like at first, figuring out how to do his potty routine and all of that was very difficult and we struggled, but now it's honestly just like it was before with his normal morning routine. Like we're so used to it. So I'd say that's probably the hardest thing.
Yeah, what an amazing thing to have, though. Such loving family and friends that can help out.
Yes. Yeah. We're so lucky.
What an amazing thing to have, though. Such loving family and friends that can help out and adapt to your changing circumstances of your fur baby.
Yes, having a support system is so important because handing over the reins for a routine can be intimidating. But when you have family and friends like they do, it definitely reassures you that they are in good hands. But as Jenna mentioned, once you get that rhythm down, it just becomes second nature. We wanted to get a picture of that rhythm. So we asked Jenna what a typical day looks like for her and Henry.
Yes. Okay. So I'll explain his mornings or his whole day, how he usually is. So in the morning, I'll get up and greet him. So he sleeps in his little pen area. We recently moved him from sleeping in the crate to that because he seems more comfortable with the bigger space and able to move around more. So I'll go and say hi to him and give him a couple pets, and our cat will also come and greet him and say good morning. And then I will set up for his potty time. So I get, the towel, pee pads, and his little walker set up ready. And then I'll get him and get his potty all done and then let him scoot on into the living room, and he gets really excited for breakfast, so he'll be jumping in the living room, and then I'll put him in his pen to make his food, and then I'll give him his food, and he likes to lick his bowl after for, like, 30 minutes, so he'll just sit there and lick. His, like, favorite thing is to lick. It's weird, but it's funny. And then I'll put him up on the couch with me while I work, and then in the afternoon, we'll do his other potty break, and then I'll take him outside in his wheels and let him run around and play fetch. He's honestly never been, like, a huge fetch dog, like, he'll play it, but after 2 times, he's like, "Alright, let's bring it inside," and he'll wanna bring the ball inside, so then I'll take him inside and give him his little afternoon greenie, which he always gets, and then he'll hang out with me until I'm done with work. And then my wife gets home around 5, and he immediately knows every time she gets home that he's gonna get dinner, so he gets super excited and hops around, and then we feed him dinner, and then he'll hang out with us on the couch or outside or whatever we're doing until bedtime, and then he'll go to sleep, and then we do it all over again in the morning. So that's just, like, kind of how every day is. Obviously, every day is a little bit different, but his favorite time of the day would definitely be eating. That is just his favorite part.
And I'm with Henry. My favorite time of the day is eating as well.
Right. Yeah, me too.
We can all agree with Henry. Eating is the best part of the day.
Exactly. But I love that visual of Henry getting so excited for his meals and hopping around the living room with his one little strong leg. That's absolutely adorable.
It's standard dog behavior, just packaged a little differently. I also like how structured his day is, and I find it absolutely cute to know he plays fetch.
So, so adorable. He really is living his best life, and I love that for him. And we know dogs can be absolute comedians sometimes. So we asked Jenna, what is the funniest or most unexpected thing Henry has ever done?
Okay, so I'll say the funniest thing he's done before his accident, because he can't do this now, but last summer, we potted this plant with flowers and a couple other plants all in this big pot on our porch. And one day we were out there and we had him playing in the little pool outside. And he got out and was just jumping around and jumped up inside of the pot and just laid down and was just chilling there for so long, and we were like, "Oh my gosh, he, like, fits perfectly in it." He probably thinks that we got this for him, like, as a bed. So that was, like, the funniest thing that's happened before that. So that would be the funniest thing he's done before his accident, and I'd say the funniest and unexpected thing he's done since his accident would be just how fast he can move still. So he scoots so fast just with his one leg and scooting his whole body. And, like, the first couple days we brought him home, I remember I would, like, look away for, like, 10 seconds, and he would be, like, across the porch when we were doing physical therapy, and I just was, like, shocked at the way he could move because I thought he definitely would not be able to move that much with only one leg, but he shocked us all, and he can scoot really fast.
Yeah, and I feel like he's only going to get faster because now that one foot is getting all of that strength and all that movement. So he might get faster.
Yeah.
Him thinking the flower pot was for him is so cute.
Seeing photos of a dog just chilling inside a flower pot is exactly why the internet exists. And if you go to their TikTok or Instagram, you would see what she was saying of how fast he still moves.
It's truly impressive, and not to mention adorable. But on the more serious side, these special needs pups constantly defy the odds. We asked Jenna what the most impressive thing is that she's seen Henry do that she never expected him to achieve.
I would say probably more recently, in the past like 3-ish months since his accident, he has figured out how to completely burrow himself under blankets again, which we thought he would never be able to do after his accident because, that's kind of intricate to dig yourself a little hole and wrap yourself with only one leg. But now I'll come in from being outside and he will be completely under all 3 of his blankets and his bed, and his head will just pop up, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe you can still do that," and that was one of the things that he loved to do before that whenever we brought him home, we were like, "Oh my gosh, he can't burrow," and it was, like, a really hard thing for us to accept, so I think that is one of the biggest things that was impressive for him and just kind of, like, brings us back to that he's still doing the things he loves, so I'd say that is probably the biggest one.
That is incredible. To think that we take simple things like nesting a blanket for granted, but for Henry, that required a whole new level of problem solving and coordination. It's like he's saying, I'm still me, guys.
It really is. It's a beautiful reminder that his core personality never changed and how strong he really is. I was actually surprised by her answer because, as you said, we take things like our dog's burrowing blankets for granted. And for this pup, it was an amazing achievement that really makes you appreciate even the smaller things your dog can do.
Exactly. So they've been through so much together, through the medical setbacks and the healing process. We asked Jenna if she could share her absolute favorite memory of Henry with us.
Yes. So what comes to my mind immediately is when he played fetch for the first time after being paralyzed. So we were just out on the porch and we were still kind of learning his wheelchair and his wheels. And I remember I threw the ball back there and he went and got it and brought it back just like how he did before. And he hadn't done that since his accident. I guess he just hadn't been able to move as much. So that's why he hadn't done it. But in that moment, he just like looked exactly like he did before the accident. He was happy and wanted to play again. And it just gave me so much hope that, he was going to be happy again and he was going to adjust, and to just not focus on him getting better and being able to walk again and just focus on his quality of life and, enjoying the little moments with him. So I'd say that's probably my favorite memory.
Definitely. What an amazing memory. Now, Jenna, right now, everyone's scared.
Mm.
Everyone's struggling. There's $6 gas. There's wars. There's maybe like another pandemic. We're not sure. And yet, that hasn't stopped you or even slowed you down from helping Henry. And that just shows how an amazing person you are, and your family as well. So, from the bottom of our hearts, thank you so much for giving Henry that opportunity.
Of course. Yeah, I'm glad I can share how we take care of him and give more insight to other people and, show that pets with disabilities can still live a perfectly normal life and, they don't really see a difference. So I'm happy to share my story with him and inspire others.
Definitely. What an amazing memory. And something most of us probably never think about when playing fetch with our dogs.
It's so true. Hearing her say that the moment he brought that ball back, they realized they just needed to focus on his joy instead of his limitations, that is a lesson for all of us. Pets with disabilities don't look in the mirror and see tragedy. They just see a day to be lived.
Exactly. Jenna is doing such a beautiful job showing the world that different doesn't mean less. And Jenna and her family helping Henry is so inspiring. So maybe you're listening and you want to adopt or get a dog with a disability. If so, our next question is for you. We asked Jenna for anyone out there who is inspired by Henry and is thinking about bringing a dog with mobility challenges into their family. What's one piece of advice you'd give them before they start that journey?
Yeah. So I've had some other people ask me this too with, people that have dealt with the same thing that Henry went through or other disabilities or just setbacks medically. And my top tip that I always say is just patience and consistency. I mean, at the beginning, it was a huge adjustment, and you feel like, the walls are crumbling in and like nothing's going to get easier. And you just have to keep staying consistent and being patient, and, the pieces will fall together and everything will slowly start to become easier. And like I said before, the things that were so hard are just part of our normal routine now. So I would just say take it day by day and it will get easier. And there's a light at the end of the tunnel for sure.
Take it day by day. Such a grounded piece of advice for a journey that can feel overwhelming from the start. A massive thank you to Jenna for sharing her heart, her wisdom, and her adorable little Henry with us today. If you want to go watch the little adorable nugget Henry, which you definitely do, go follow them on Instagram at Henry the Mini Hot Dog and TikTok Henry the Three-Legged Weenie. The links will be in the description as well. We also want to add that recently Jenna shared that they had a scary moment happen with Henry. We just want to take the moment and say, we hope Henry gets well soon and we are all rooting for him.
Absolutely. And if you'd like, you can also go onto their TikTok or Instagram and leave them some positive comments and let them know that you're here for them. And to all of you listening, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Tales of Fluff. We appreciate every single subscribe, like, and share more than words can say. But today, we want to leave you with this one simple task. If you come across a pet parent dedicating their time to a special needs animal, thank them, even if it's through a comment on social media, because the amount of patience, love, and emotional strength it takes to give these animals a beautiful life is extraordinary and should never go unnoticed.
Until next time, remember, a perfect life doesn't require a perfect body. It just requires a heart that refuses to stop beating.